You can delve into Portland's past through its colorful restaurant scene.
Yeah, there's a new book that's out exploring the memories, meals, and recipes from iconic restaurants that have come and gone in this city, which there's quite the list of those. Joining us on the couch right now is local author Teresa Griffin Kennedy. Good morning.
Hello, it's nice to be here.
I'm glad you're here. It's an interesting topic because Portland is known as such a food city, and that's not new. So a lot of restaurants have come and gone. What sparked this interest for you to want to make this book?
Well, the History Press asked me if I would write a book on crime, and I wasn't very enthused about it because it's been done to death.
Sure.
And so 6 months went by and I hadn't really produced anything. So my acquisitions editor contacted me and suggested that I write this book, which I presumed had already been written. And I was really surprised to find out it hadn't been written. So I jumped on it because I knew it was a really rare opportunity. And I spent over 3.5 years writing it, and it was very challenging and extremely frustrating at times, but it was also fun.
Yeah,
you know?
I bet.
I'm sure it's a wonderful walk down memory lane for many people who have lived here for a while. What are maybe some restaurants that folks might recognize in your book?
Most of them, because they're mostly the classic restaurants like Henry Teely's, Der Rhinelander, Club 21, Cafe Lena, several others. So I kind of had to focus on the restaurants that were the most well-known, that had the most available information, because that was the biggest challenge, was finding source materials.
Yeah.
So people wanted me to write about the spec, and there's literally nothing on the spec, and
Really?
several other restaurants, yeah. There wasn't a lot of information on Rose's either, Rose's Deli, so... Yeah.
Interesting. That's so fascinating. Well, you said you started this project 3.5 years ago?
Over 3.5 years ago, yeah.
So, I mean, how much did this project change with the pandemic? Was there anything that...
The pandemic changed it, completely changed it, because I was already about a year behind schedule. I don't like to be rushed, and so I had asked for an extension, and when the pandemic happened, it was like, well, you know, all the research libraries closed down at the Oregon Historical Society, so my searches for images... that was very difficult. And so it really slowed things down a lot.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Was there anything surprising that you learned in your search, or interesting especially?
Well, probably my favorite profile was on the River Queen, but the most surprising thing to me was when I started researching Club 21. I thought it was going to be really straightforward, and I thought it was going to be one of the shorter profiles, like Waddles is a really short profile. But Club 21 turned out to be one of the longest profiles because the history of that building is so complex. So what I thought was going to be a really short profile ended up being one of the longest in the book. And it's a wonderful profile.
Oh, that's so interesting.
21.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
So if somebody picks up the book, and I would imagine, you know, anybody who picks it up already probably has some idea of some of these restaurants. You know, it's probably really nostalgic for them, like you said, Emma, to go down memory lane.
Yes.
What are you hoping somebody takes away from this book?
Well, that it was really a project that I really embraced the Portland community, and I got a lot of help from Dead Memories Portland on Facebook. So there's a lot of parts of the book, a lot of quotes from customers, owners, managers, and that goes throughout the entire book. There are a lot of quotes, so a lot of shared memories, and that's what I think is going to give it its appeal, and I hope that it stands the test of time.
Oh, it surely will, just like the memory of these restaurants.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about, you said you had a favorite profile that you wrote.
My favorite profile was the profile on the River Queen, because the River Queen was a working vessel for almost 50 years, and it's former, you know, it doesn't exist anymore. It was dismantled and scrapped, but its real name was the SS Shasta, and learning about the history of the River Queen was really kind of touching, and it was very sad because people really personified that boat, and there was a move to try to save it, and of course it didn't work out, and that man that collects boats, you know, ended up it was just rotting on the river, and then it had to be scrapped by the U.S. Coast Guard. Yeah, that's pretty sad.
It is sad, but it's equally fascinating. You know, I mean, that's a story that, you know, I didn't know.
Well, that's
I think
history.
exactly, that's history.
Sadness, happiness, everything.
Yeah, well, great work. It was a lot of work to compile all these stories. I know it took you a long time. Pandemic threw you a curveball, but excited to give it a read, and congratulations on getting it published and out there.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely, glad you were here again. Author Teresa Griffin Kennedy with her new book, The Lost Restaurants of Portland, Oregon. Really cool. Out today. You can find it online or in stores. Buy it wherever you get your favorite books.